Welcome to You, Me, Empathy. Thank you for listening. We would like to remind you that this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Known as just a silly boy with a feely heart. Please consider supporting the show. Check us out on Patreon or simply leave a review on iTunes. Here's your host and creator of the show, Known Wells.
Hello, feely humans. Welcome to You, Me, Empathy. My name is Known Wells, and this is episode 80 of the show. Thanks for being here. Today on the show, I chat with my friend Alethea about how infertility impacts mental health. Alethea has been on quite a journey with IUI, IVF, coping with PCOS, and I'm just really proud of her for sharing her story and being vulnerable in this, despite, it being a frustration, despite, just the kind of pressure of being a mom and all those things. And I'm just really grateful for her for sharing her story. We did record a little epilogue to this episode, so if you're interested in that, it's up at patreon.com/youmeempathy for the $4 and up subscribers. We just recorded a nice 25-30 minute little epilogue update on where Alethea is at in her journey. So again, that's at Patreon, patreon.com/youmeempathy if you want to support the show and listen to a bit more of Alethea share her story. Before we get to the episode 80 today, I just wanted to remind you to please listen and subscribe via Apple Podcasts, and please leave a review. Reviews for the show, the more reviews and listeners and subscribers to You, Me, Empathy on Apple Podcasts, the greater chance there is that more people see it and be like, whoa, what is this empathy thing? This is cool. Let's listen to that, and maybe we get some new listeners, and that means more empathy, feely humans in the world. So please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, and I will read it here in the intro for these episodes. So thank you for doing that. Make sure to follow You, Me, Empathy on Instagram and Twitter at You, Me, Empathy, and Facebook, facebook.com/YouMeEmpathy. And what else? I guess that's it. I guess enjoy this very special episode with my dear friend Alethea on how infertility impacts mental health.
You and me, empathy, la 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 la. You, me, empathy, yeah, la la la.
Welcome to You, Me, Empathy, a podcast about exploring the struggles we face in our day-to-day lives as humans trying to get by on this wondrous and overwhelming pale blue dot. The intent of You, Me, Empathy is to talk openly, without judgment, about our neuroses, our mental illnesses, our shared anxieties and worries, to create a dialogue that is vulnerable and deeply human and empathetic, and to share that dialogue with others to inspire emotional and cognitive collaboration and insight, so we can, hand in hand, break down the stigma that make us feel shame and guilt for struggling, for feeling our feelings, for being human. You, Me, Empathy is a safe, friendly space designed to inspire the beauty in each of us. Today I am back again in somehow a cat-shaped pirate ship navigating the empathy waters with the giant-hearted, cat-fostering, book-reading nerd's nerd, Alethea. Hello.
Hi, Known.
How's it going?
It's going okay.
All right. So, for the listeners, Alethea was a guest in the first year of You, Me, Empathy, way back in, I want to say episode 14. For some reason, that number sticks out in my brain, but We talked about failure the last time you were here, Alethea.
Yes.
Yes. So before we get into, an update from you and kind of where you're at in the world now, let's just do a check-in, an emotional check-in. How is your day going?
It's been up and down all day. We'll get into it some more in detail when we talk about our show topic, but I started with like waking up. It was pretty cool. And then I started getting phone calls about medical leave and things like that and bills. That's not fun.
That is not fun. Bills are never fun.
No. And then, one of my last phone calls actually was a really cool person who kind of talked me down because I was feeling very anxious, and she let me kind of unload all of my feelings on her, and because it's her job, and that worked out really well. And then I, like an hour or so later, was like, okay, time's up. I can get up now and stop wallowing and get on with my day. And then I reorganized bookshelves, which was probably not a smart idea for something to do today, but it calms me.
You didn't Marie Kondo it, did you?
No, I didn't. I'm probably going to get rid of some things just because they're things that it's that whole, does the spark joy question?
Yeah.
I can hold on to probably 95% of the books that are in the apartment and feel that joy. And then there's just those couple of things like, why do I even have this? Like, I don't feel bad about letting those things go at all. Like, I have a book that's a history of milk.
Yeah.
Which I've read maybe like 10% of and like skimmed through some of the recipes. Like, I don't need this book on milk.
Why do you have that book?
It looked cool and it was probably on sale. Like, it was probably on the remainder pile for like $5 or something.
Yeah.
It looked neat. Has no pictures. It's not really a cookbook. It really is just a history of milk. And I normally like kind of esoteric topics like that. Like the Kurlansky books, like Salt or Cod or, those books that are about a specific, usually like a food item. I have a book on wood that is really interesting.
Yeah, well, you like books. You are a book nerd. Just like I am. Yeah. Like I am. Yeah, we have a lot of like weird books like that I've never even opened, and but they look cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a value.
Yeah, and that's probably why I had that for so long. And I think I've probably picked it up half a dozen times and gone, yeah, I like this. I'll keep this book on milk. And, just today I picked it up and I was like, I don't really need this. It's taking up a lot of space. I could be filling with other books.
What is it about like organizing your bookshelves that like brings you calm?
I think it's because I used to work for Borders for a very long time, like on and off for about 13 years. I think I worked there. And the act of like taking all the stuff down and re-alphabetizing stuff that's gotten disorganized, or like, if you find a book with the cookbooks that it was like an art book or something, it's like that satisfaction of going, aha, you don't belong there. And then finding the place where it does belong, putting it back, and like making them all line up together. And it's really nice and neat. And I actually had a big section of picture books that was super disorganized. And so I felt myself really get into the rhythm of, because I was like, I'm supposed to be taking it easy. So I wanted to do something that was not a lot of lifting heavy objects. And like, if I'm holding a picture book, it's like, it's not that much. I just can't pick up like 15 picture books at the same time. But so I felt myself kind of get into the groove of like, okay, I can just alphabetize these almost weightless books and get them into an order. And it was very satisfying and relaxing. And I felt myself like I definitely had high anxiety, like going into the middle of the day because of all of the bills and various things I already mentioned. And I I'm glad I thought of it. Like, of all the things to think of today to calm myself down, to rearrange all the books was actually like kind of a genius idea. So
That's
worked.
great. Yeah. I relate to that a lot, actually. On a number of levels, like one, just being around books brings me calm,
Yes.
and the feel of them, the tactile feel of them is very calming presence, I'm sure you can relate to.
Yeah. I just like holding them, really. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to be reading it to enjoy it. I could be looking at it or just handling it or moving it from place to place, and that already makes me happy.
I do feel like maybe there's a business opportunity here for anxious people who maybe like books, like feeling anxious, like we just have, I guess that's a bookstore, but maybe we like take it to another level and we, sort of bury them like at like the beach, you bury a person in the sand. Here we'd bury them in books, and just kind of, have a sort of NPR style sort of commentary going over the whole thing, like kind of calm tones. And I don't know, there's something there.
Or like an ASMR kind of a video of some person reorganizing books on shelves for 8 hours. Yeah.
It's like those power washing videos.
Yeah, there's my favorite days at work would be days when or if we had just like middle of the night shelving, we would close at like 10 or 11 o'clock, and I would just spend 8 hours moving books around. So that was like my favorite job.
I realize we need to get going, but I miss talking to you, and you're my friend, so I'm going to keep going on this tact. Did you ever have the like fantasy, like maybe you still do, but I remember having the fantasy when I was like a kid all the time to just be like, have like a big department store shut down and then just be able to like sleep there?
Yes, definitely. Isn't there at minimum one movie?
I think there might be a movie about that, yeah.
From the 80s or something.
Probably.
My brain's not connecting with it right now.
Yeah.
There was an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine like that. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Just to, lie on all the showroom furniture and try on all the clothes.
Yeah. I guess, you know what? I guess in a way, Mannequin is like that.
Oh, yes.
Right?
That's definitely the movie I was thinking of.
Yeah, Mannequin. Okay. Yeah. Anyways. Happy to hear that the book Reorg has helped to calm the anxiety, and also good to have a friend who can talk you through that stuff.
Yeah, it has been, well, we'll get into it, because the person that called me was not specifically a friend. I think of her as a friend, but she is kind of part of the whole process of the thing that we're talking about today. So I'll tell you about her later.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to share a little update for myself, and Jessica will be hearing this because she's like kind of in the background right now.
Hi, Jessica.
One of the things that I struggle with, and it's sort of immediately, it sort of happened just moments ago, is like making decisions, and I feel like I made a bad decision, feeling like shame, like putting shame on myself, and feeling like so we had this thing, like we had roofers out, and I wanted, Jessica and I talked about it, and she wanted to get the roofers to like give quotes on both roofs. We have a little sort of disconnected sort of room above the garage and the main house. And they came and went quickly, and they only did the one house, and I kind of indicated to them that the one was fine. And I realized, after talking to Jessica, that I made the wrong choice. But I know that like I was anxious in the moment, and I should have sort of stepped back and thought about it, and thought about like the conversations that I had with Jessica prior, but I let my anxiety sort of rule me. And then when Jessica sort of talked to me about it, rationally, logically, like trying to understand like where I was coming from. I, in my sort of anxious state, take that as an attack. I take that as, she's being mean to me or whatever. And I think that's just my insecurity and anxiety. And so that's where I'm at right now in this moment.
I can absolutely relate. One of the bills that I had a phone call about today was something that happened. Well, it started yesterday, where basically the billing department of somewhere called me and said, okay, you owe me $650. And in my rational mind was going, wait, no, that's covered by my insurance. And then my anxiety mind was like, here's my credit card number. And so I paid her. And when I was talking to my friend, slightly not a friend, not really a friend, she works for a company that works for me. Let's just call her my friend. She's really nice. And she's really good at her job, which is calming crazy people down like me that are freaking out about a very, very specific thing. She, I remember the tone of her voice when I told her that I had paid the bill. And she was just like, no, you shouldn't have done that. And I remember for a second feeling like, oh my God, that's an attack. Like, how dare you? But just for a second. And the next second I was kind of like, you know what? You're absolutely right. That was the wrong decision to have made. I should have said, hold up. I think that's wrong. Let me talk to my insurance and I'll get back to you.
Good on you.
Pay the bill.
Yeah.
But, and so I think it helped that she is really sweet. And also we're not personally friends. We're just in this sort of work health.
I mean, I don't know, Alethea. You've painted a clear picture that you're best buds forever.
Totally.
Well, thank you for relating and sharing that. Because I would totally be the one like, here's my credit card, take it.
Yeah, that was, and immediately as soon as I hung up the phone, I was like, I should not have done that.
Yeah.
That was wrong. It was too late.
The anxious brain, it's very interesting and fickle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm learning so much about it just recently.
Ooh, I'm excited to delve into that. So let's start. I want to obviously you're dealing with a lot now, but I do want to back up just a bit before that and understand where you are at. So last time we talked about your sort of relationship with failure and feeling like a failure. How is that going? Maybe not in light of what you're experiencing now, but just in the past year since you were on the show.
Well, I think talking about it helped a lot because whenever I would come up against, I can't really think of that many specific. A lot of specific things probably have to do with work, so I can't really talk about them in detail.
Yeah, and you work for the government. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm so glad I do not work for the government.
You're a secret agent. I see.
But I do feel like having that perspective that failure is an option. You can fail, and then it's how you deal with it afterwards is what matters more than the fact that you failed. It's really helped me recover from a lot of those things and just be resilient, where I feel like a younger me would have fallen apart more from just the anxiety that results in, because it's that same thing we were talking about just minutes ago of you realize you've made a mistake.
Right.
And you're just kind of like, I usually feel like I'm a rational person. I'm a smart person. I know a lot of things and I make good decisions. That's not true all the time. And that's okay. I just have to be okay with the fact that I'm human and I make mistakes, and sometimes they're kind of bad and sometimes they're all right, fixable. And yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's very healthy and accepting. And because the reality is like the emotional side, no matter how smart you are, and you are very smart and analytical and rational, no matter how smart we are, the emotional brain can take over,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it can become this sort of leading force that, completely washes out the sort of analytical, rational side of our brains. And then, like you said, you have like that sort of light bulb moment. And you're like, oh, you just have a moment to like take a step back, and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And it'll come up a lot in the next hour or so that we're talking, I'm sure.
Well, the Yumi Empathy podcast is now a 12-hour show, so we'll
just cover it in the first hour and then move on to other.
I'm trying to compete with Pete Holmes. Just kidding. Well, let's get into what you're dealing with now, which you are going through the process of IVF, which is this sort of, let me just say, just as your friend, like, it's a huge thing. It's exciting, but it's also stressful. It's also overwhelming. There's so much, there's a financial burden. There's all these things going on. And my heart goes out to you in this period, because it's a lot. So how are you feeling? How did that sort of seed begin for you?
Yeah. So, overarchingly, it's not just the IVF, because IVF is a very specific procedure. But in dealing with infertility in general, I think is the topic of the day.
Yeah.
And it's been, I don't know how to begin almost, because I have been kind of dealing with this for my entire, with a person and married life, in the sense that, so my husband and I, when we've been together, we met and were boyfriend and girlfriend in 2000 or so ish, 2002. And so we have been together for a long time. And I think what also is contributing to the fact that we need infertility treatment now is that we did wait so long to start trying to have a family, because we wanted to be responsible parents and not hey, I make $6 an hour, let's have a baby,
Sure.
And be barely able to pay the rent or feed ourselves, and then, bring another life into the world, which is not to say that other people that do that are responsible. Everybody's life is different. Their circumstances are totally different. It was just the decision that we made for ourselves a long time ago that we weren't going to try until we felt safe and we're not going to be evicted at any moment.
I think that's very smart.
Thank you. We thought it was a smart idea too. And then I turned 40. And for the last couple of years already, I have been kind of parading around with picket signs saying time's a wasting.
Yeah.
There is
to your husband.
Yes, to my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this really, just as a bullet point here, there's a really recent Twitter rant about by Design Mom. I forget her full name right now. I think it's Gabrielle Blair. And she talked about how rape and unwanted pregnancies and unwanted pregnancies, period, are fully the responsibility of the male in the relationship, because really it's irresponsible ejaculation. And there are really only about 12 days a year that a woman can get pregnant. I don't know if you knew this.
I didn't. That seems
bonkers. I think it's right for people to call the birth of a child the miracle of life, and just a miracle, period, because trying to go through this infertility treatment, it feels impossible to make any baby anywhere with any two people. And yet somehow millions of babies are made all the time and, make it to term and are born, or make it to just before and are born and become human beings. It happens somehow because our population keeps growing, and
people love doing it.
Yeah, they do love doing it. And I think this is where that sense of failure comes in, where like I played the game wrong. I waited too long. And now it's like going to be the most difficult thing. This feels like the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life.
And I feel that burden, on you. Tell me how, like, did it take your husband time to be on board with you, or have you been sort of actively trying the last couple of years?
No, I mean, I think he's been on board with me from the get-go, and we have been actively trying for several years. We just didn't start trying with medical help until August of last year.
And so what does the medical help mean?
Yes. So I actually have, I work for a very large corporation, which has amazing insurance. And one of the pieces of insurance that this just became available within like the last year or so to me is an infertility provider, which means that I have a reproductive endocrinologist that I see, and that person recommends certain treatments. Like they'll give me a drug protocol to follow and a bunch of checkups and this whole long list of things to do to help increase my chances of conceiving, as well as actual specific medical treatments. So the two that I'll talk about there's really three. There's IUI, which is intrauterine insemination. And that's kind of like, in general, like colloquial parlance, is the turkey baster method, where they basically take the partner's sperm, they wash it, quote unquote, so that they basically get like the strongest swimmers, like the best little guys in there. And then the woman is inseminated by the doctor so that the sperm are as close to the egg as they can get. And there's also drug protocol so that where normally a woman would be producing one egg a month that releases, with the drug protocol, you get hopefully more than one egg. So a bunch of viable eggs, and hopefully at least one of them will result in an embryo.
May I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I'm just curious about, like, did you early on, like when you started trying, did you both go get tested and kind of check things out?
So we didn't actually get tested until the beginning of our, when we started to see the reproductive endocrinologist, because you have to do it to go through that process anyway.
Got it.
And prior to that, the only condition that we knew about that was giving us trouble was the fact that I have PCOS or PCOS, and that is Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. And just long story short, that is a genetic, they think that it's genetic. There's not a lot known about it, so it's hard to talk about, but it basically means that, so I talked about those 12 to 24 days a year that a woman can get pregnant. That means that for someone who has PCOS, because hormone production is irregular, it means you don't know when those 24 days are.
Oh, wow.
So normally every month you would have about a 2-day period that if you had intercourse within like about 3 to 5 days before those 2 days, that you have a chance that if the sperm and egg get together, they will implant during those 2 days. And they will stick there, which is why the socks that you gave me are really great and funny, and I love them, and I thank you for them so much, where it says
you're
stick,
welcome.
baby, stick. Those are the 2 days possible for it to stick.
And with
And if they
PCOS,
miss-
it's kind of a crapshoot?
It's total crapshoot. You don't know when it is. People with PCOS, women with PCOS typically produce more testosterone than normal, because we all produce both, but to varying degrees and at varying times of the month. And so it's basically like, I just wouldn't know. There was a couple of years where I was still going to school, that I was so stressed out that I actually didn't get my period for like 8 or 9 months in a row.
Wow.
So it's almost like being pregnant without actually being pregnant. I just didn't have my period. I was really bloated all the time. But I would keep taking pregnancy tests and it would just say negative.
Yeah.
But I would never get wouldn't get my period until like, September.
So it's like, have the doctors or the support, have they said to you that it's sort of like a combination of PCOS and then your quote unquote advanced age?
So it's the advanced age, because basically starting at about, I think they say like 36 years old now and up, one is that the egg quality isn't as good as when women are younger. And then also, particularly for women with PCOS, the egg irregularity is like, it depends on the person, because everybody's different. And again, they know so little about PCOS.
I'm shaking my head over here, because it's just like another thing that is hard on women. I mean, it's just like 35, your advanced age. Like, it's just, it's so unfair. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. And I also kind of feel like, wow, if I had had this insurance, even 5 years ago, we would have probably had a better chance at reproducing, in the sense that they could have harvested my 35-year-old eggs.
Yeah.
And those would have probably been better quality than the ones that they got from me I think we had an egg harvest in November. So that's the second procedure is, so
you've already had the IUI?
We had it twice.
Okay.
And that didn't work twice, which is heartbreaking. But also, like, I think it's that whole failure thing of like, I don't know if I wasn't expecting it to work. I was trying to expect it to work, because they do tell you to be positive, and think positive. The very first thing on my list of things to do was try to relax.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, what is that? So you obviously colloquially, I can't say that fucking word.
I can't say it.
That in a colloquial sense, I always screw up that word. Anyways, you were saying it's like the turkey baster. Can you paint a picture of like that process? Like, is your husband out like there, like, or is it just you and the doctor? How long before that kind of thing?
Yeah. So it's a month-long process. And there's actually, for people that are interested in it, the people that talk about it on the internet have their own like code for how everything progresses. So I'll try to pepper some of those in there.
Okay, cool.
So for IUI, basically the female is put on a drug protocol to try to produce more eggs, usually. So that's usually clomiphene or Clomid. And so, and aside from that, like very light exercise, try to relax, learn to meditate, drink lots of water, drink all these vitamins and minerals.
How'd you do with all that?
The light exercise was kind of not happening. Like, I think I stress out already so much at work and like jog back and forth to things. I was like, I'm just going to count that as walking.
Yeah, that counts.
And then drinking water, the first cycle was like, I don't know why. I just couldn't remember to drink water. Like, everybody needs water, but I was like so bad at it. So that probably contributed to that first one not working. And then I think also, so the other thing, relaxing and sleeping, 8 hours a day. I can sleep 8 hours a day, but then the rest of the hours of the day when I'm awake, I'm super bad at relaxing.
Is that just part of your personality?
I think so. And I think it's just also that worry, that underlying worry that, again, my rational mind is trying to go, don't worry about it, because it's the thing on the list it said is most important for you to be relaxed and low, reduce your stress. And then my anxiety mind is going, but what if it doesn't work? What if I do all this work and I take all these drugs and it doesn't work?
Yeah. I mean, how can you not? It's like it's such a like gamble. Like, sorry to use that word, but it is like so much riding on it. And it's like, gotta be such an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah. And it's so, for many, many people, I'm lucky in that, although this has been an expensive process, it has not been as expensive as if I had to pay for everything out of pocket. I think IUI costs usually around $5,000 and up. And I think I paid $40. Like, my copay was $40. And then I had to pay, a couple of $100s for the drugs and so forth. But in comparison to what, the regular person walking off the street with no coverage for this in their insurance, I saved a lot of money. Yeah. It didn't work, but so I don't feel, again, as bad as if I had spent $5,000 on it. But so in the cycle, so you go about 2 weeks with just kind of trying to prepare. You keep going back to the doctor, and every time he does an ultrasound to check how many eggs you've produced. And so for people with PCOS, it's kind of weird because the way that normal periods are supposed to work is that the female releases 1 egg a month. So you have that 2-day period to possibly fertilize that 1 egg, and then you have a baby. With PCOS, what happens is, your body will be like, all right, let's get an egg ready. It's kind of like the avocado. Like, you miss that tiny window of opportunity to release that egg. Because of PCOS, the egg doesn't release. It just kind of like, oh yeah, we did it. Great. Move on to the next cycle. But it doesn't actually happen. It just holds onto the egg and it like forms a little cyst over it. And so the follicles get kind of plugged up and used to not releasing eggs. Gotcha. Yes. So we went through that, and then they basically, the whole point of the drug protocol is to, aside from get you to produce more eggs, is to then stop the egg release, because then they want to do it at a specific day. Okay. So that you can schedule a day that the male partner donates a sperm. They wash it, again, quote unquote, wash. They don't literally wash it. It's just the term used for like picking out the best candidates for creating pick me viable embryo. Pick me. And then so a few days before that happens, they start, well, I say we had to administer shots to me. Lots of shots. I can't go through all of them. There seem to be a million. There's probably only like 2 a day. And they had to be on a really specific schedule.
Are those in like the belly or the butt?
Those ones were, there was a front one and a back one. So there was a belly one and a butt one every day for like 5 days or something like that. And then there was the kind of like scariest shot, not because it hurts more, like all the needles hurt, all the shots hurt, but this one's like the it's called the trigger shot, and it is
I don't like the sound of that.
Well, so a lot of the shots that are given prior to that are to stop you from completing the egg release process.
I see.
And then the trigger shot is the one that says, okay, go, because then 24 hours from then
Gotcha.
is when you have your
It's like
procedure.
the starting pistol.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the first time we did that, I totally effed it up. Like, I got the time wrong. Like, as I was trying to prepare it, something went wrong. Like, I couldn't load the needle fast enough, so we took it kind of late. And it was just this whole thing of, like, I can't even remember now, actually, all of the mistakes that I made during that cycle.
Well, I mean, was it just how specific timing does it have to be?
They are so specific about it. And this might vary from person to person, but they were like, no, it has to be 7 o'clock on the dot.
Oh my
Not
gosh.
6:59, not 7:01, 7 o'clock.
That's so stressful.
And so it's like 7:18 or something by the time we actually get the shot into me. And now I remember the other thing that I got wrong. It was supposed to be an intramuscular shot. And I had Jason give it to me in the belly. Jason's my husband. The belly is subcutaneous injection. And there's a different speed of release of the medication based on whether it was injected intramuscular or subcutaneous. And the internet sources that I've read on this topic conflict each other. So I don't know which one, but the main point was that the instruction was for intramuscular.
Got it.
The nurse told it to me. I signed a piece of paper that said I understood. And then I told my husband the wrong place.
I see. And was that the first time you went through that process?
Yes, it was the first time I went through that process. We definitely did not get it incorrect the next time. But I remember being like gently berated, like as gently as she could, but really berated by my nurse the following day on the phone. Like I was walking around like the car wash waiting for my car to be ready.
After the first time, you mean?
Yeah, after the first time. Because it was really like, no, it had to be on time. And I was just kind of like, what do we do now? Do we cancel? Do we start all over? Do we have to do this next month? Like, I can't imagine having to do all this over again next month without even having really tried it once and not gotten to the insemination part. And I mean, they didn't reschedule me. I don't know if any of those mistakes that I made leading up to that date had anything to do with whether it succeeded or failed. It's just impossible to say.
Yeah.
And I mean, the second time we did everything perfectly.
And was that next month, the following month?
That was the following month. So that was September. In October, we tried our second IUI. I took all my medications on time. I drank all my water. I ate vegetables every day. I ate fruit. I ate it. I think one of the things that was really hard that month and has been hard since is that I really love food, but when you're not hungry and you have to eat something and you have to eat specific things, it's really hard to get through a meal. Yeah,
I bet. Like what kinds of things were you having to eat?
Broccoli is definitely high on the list.
Yeah.
Have to eat a lot of dairy, and there's a lot of things to avoid too. So like good for you is like beans, legumes, dark leafy vegetables, nuts, seeds, fruits, that kind of thing. And then bad for you is anything that might cause food poisoning, which makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
But is like, the most casual, delicious foods that you could eat, like deli meats. And I don't know, I love blue cheese. Soft cheeses are off the list, are on the no list. Sushi's on the no list.
Those monsters.
It's hard.
Yeah. And having gone through it a second time and feeling, I bet you probably felt good about like, passing all the tests, quote unquote. Like how did it feel like once, like how soon did you know that it didn't take?
So here's one of my terms. 2WW is a 2-week wait. So it's basically from whatever the day of your procedure being day 1. On day 14, you go in for a blood test, and they will test for HCG, which is the hormone that has to, like, if that hormone is increasing, means that you're pregnant. That's
Gotcha.
actually what the at-home pregnancy tests test for.
I see.
And so there's a 2-week wait. And in those 2 weeks, again, number 1 on the list is don't stress out. Just relax. Don't think about it. Meditate.
And how was that for you?
Awful every time. Like, I think I can find enough things to occupy myself just because I have a lot of hobbies. I love to watch television. I think I watched all 15 seasons of CSI in like 2 weeks.
My goodness.
To distract myself.
That's so much The Who.
Yes. So I think I did distract myself. The other thing that I started doing was work also offers as an EAP, as an employee assistant program. We have a therapist that comes to the office once a month.
Oh, that's nice.
And I got really lucky / unlucky that on the day that I received the call from the doctor with my first negative result, happened to be the same day I was seeing the therapist.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That is lucky, unlucky.
Yeah. I had a lot to talk about, and it was like absolutely the right timing. I'm sure I went home and cried that day. Yeah.
How did the therapist react to that? Like, what, or was it mostly you kind of her or him listening?
Oh, well, my therapist's name is Will, and he mainly listened. He did ask a lot of questions to just draw my story out of me because it was our first time meeting.
Yeah.
And he is a behaviorist, so he gave me some things to think about and sort of just a little homework between then and the next time I would see him.
Okay.
Which was to keep things in perspective. Like, for example, if we don't get pregnant, or if we don't ever get pregnant, like, how bad is that really? Like, how negative is that impact on my life? It doesn't end my life.
Mm-hmm.
I go on living. There are other options. We could adopt, there's sort of, or, get another cat.
There's always more cats to adopt.
There's always more cats to adopt.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, it's not a life ender. And I think also, just for people listening who might not be interested in getting pregnant or having children at all, there's also I think for a long time, or I have for a long time, in the back of my head, there is this idea that you're supposed to have a family, that you're supposed to have children. And I do want children despite that idea.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't have children, and it's totally okay.
Absolutely.
I know people who don't want children. That's totally fine. That's their choice. I actually know a lot of people who probably should not have had children. It's a totally different episode that I feel I can't talk about because that's not me. That's not my story.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is this cultural sort of pressure to, I mean, especially for women, right?
Yes, absolutely for women.
Like, can you talk a little bit about the feeling of, just the infertility and like I've read things and I've heard other friends talk about this, like the shame that comes with that. And like, how has that processing been for you? And have you, how have you dealt with it? Obviously you're going through all of this right now, but how just generally are you doing with that pressure?
I would say that, especially if you'd been talking to a much younger me, that expectation of you must have a family and you're an inadequate person or woman for not being able to produce a family. I think younger me would have totally bought into that whole idea. And it's still, as much as I don't believe in that anymore, I think it still affects me. And that's that little seed that keeps feeding my anxiety brain that like, this isn't working, you're not good enough, kind of negative self-talk.
Yeah.
And I think that part of me, like, again, going back to my rational brain really likes the advice from my therapist that, you know, it's not the end of the road. Even if we go through IVF and I run out of my insurance benefit and we can't afford to pay out of pocket for all these treatments, to have these treatments again off of the insurance, that it's okay. Like, our life still goes on. We could still have opportunities to have children. We could get pregnant the old-fashioned way, maybe.
Yeah.
Total crapshoot again. We
By
could
old-fashioned,
adopt,
you
possibly.
mean missionary through a sheet?
Oh yeah, like baby dancing is the other term for it.
Yeah.
The clean term, I guess, in like infertility forums, or they'll just call it BD, baby dancing.
Nice. I mean, you're right. Of course you're right. Like, that perspective is important in all facets of life, but it doesn't mean that it's not fucking hard.
Oh yeah, it's super fucking hard. Like, and I mean, I don't feel bad about crying when I need to cry. I've probably cried a lot more times this week over bills than I have about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, some of those bills are getting settled, or like we're finding that someone else has paid them. So that's good. Or like it was billed correctly and I just received an incorrect bill. But like, I think there is a mental toll that it has taken on me. And I have gotten lucky in that the confluence of events of, you know, finding my therapist, or my boss has been really supportive about this whole process. And so, and she's a mother. She's actually younger than me. I think she's like 36. She has 2 kids. And when I'm finding it difficult, like, I try not to let it affect my work. And, but there are times where at work, I'll need to talk about something, and her door has always been open. She's never turned me away when I needed to talk to somebody.
That's great.
Yeah. And she's just been really a champ through this entire process. And my husband has been really fantastic and supportive. He has to administer my shot. The shot that I have now for the IVF, which we haven't really talked about yet, is that one's intramuscular. So that's in the butt. It's the upper outer quadrant of the butt, and I alternate every day, and I have to have one every morning, and he does it every day, and he basically slaps my butt, like he slaps a Band-Aid on my butt and says, all right, you're pregnant.
Well, I was just going to ask, are you at least having a little fun with it? Because,
yeah,
you know,
he's definitely having some fun.
Yeah, good for Jason.
I think the extent of my fun with it has been like, you know, especially when I'm on bed rest, which is this is the second time I've been on 3 days of bed rest. When I feel hungry for a particular thing, I'm always like, I'm going to order this thing. You can't stop me.
Nice. That's good self-care.
Yeah. I'm like, if I want pizza at 2:30 in the afternoon, I'm ordering fucking pizza.
Yeah, you sure as hell deserve it. Yeah, I was actually, I do want to talk about IVF, but I was just going to ask, like, are you creating space? I know you talked about your CSI marathon, and that seems overwhelming to me. But are you creating space for your own self-care outside of like the regime of this baby making process?
Outside of, I think my whole regime, no, about half of my regime has been murder mysteries. So like today I watched there's a new Ted Bundy documentary on Netflix. I watched that. That was very
seems
relaxing.
Calming.
Yes.
You're like my friend Mindy, who's, you know, watches that stuff constantly and like forensic files and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I saved up like a week's worth, no, like 2 or 3 weeks worth of My Favorite Murder
Uh-huh.
to listen
Nice.
to, which, yeah, I ended up blowing it like a couple days before, because a couple days before I was already stressed out about something.
Hmm.
And so the reason why I like those things, though, just to encapsulate it, is because they have problems and then they solve it usually within the hour or
I
within the
see.
season.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. There's a certain, wrap that up in a bow, and there's a certain sort of simpleness to that that's very satisfying.
Yeah, there's a closure to these things. Like
Yeah.
in CSI, it takes 15 years, but these two characters get together and they, ride off into the sunset on a boat in the last scene. And that I found was very satisfying and emotionally healing.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I think for this last, so in between, so we go through the procedure, right? I get my drug protocol, I eat the right things, I try to sleep, I try to relax. I take my shots, we do the procedure, we wait 2 weeks, and then we get the negative result. Which so far, I think out of 3 procedures, we've gotten 1 positive result. And so here's the way that works. They do a blood test on the 14th day. And if you're below a certain threshold for HCG, because part of the drug protocol is sometimes HCG, if you're below a certain threshold, they say you're negative. If you're above a certain threshold for that first test, they say you're positive, come back in 2 days. And then the second day, so day 16 after your procedure, you have to have doubled in the amount of HCG that you had 2 days ago. And that will indicate a true positive pregnancy test. Because from then on, every 2 days, that HCG amount is supposed to double. So if day 1's supposed to be 30, by 2 days later, day 3, the second test, you have to be at about 60.
And so you got that first positive check-in.
Yes.
And then the second follow-up 2 days later, negative. Because it didn't double.
Yes.
Did it increase at all?
So that first measurement of, so that first HCG test or beta HCG test, being positive, I actually had 6 IU, I think. So that's well below the 30 that they expect for pregnancy. Is what's called a chemical pregnancy. So basically my body produced that HCG. It wasn't from a shot because that drug protocol didn't include any HCG.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's what's in the trigger shot for the IUI. So for IVF, my body did produce it. That means that I was briefly pregnant and that the embryo that we implanted did try to implant and might have been growing for even like a couple of days before something in it just told my body, hey, this isn't working.
Yeah.
This guy isn't growing. Abort. Yeah. Like literally abort.
Yeah.
And so the body starts, it's funny too, because all of the symptoms that tell you you're pregnant are also all the symptoms that are PMS, which is you're about to really not be pregnant and your uterine lining will come out for several days in a bloody mess.
Right.
Sorry, guys, this got really gross.
No, this is what we're here to talk about. I think it's important.
This is real talk, people.
It's important. I think it's really important. And especially, this stuff needs to be talked about because it impacts mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that I think I got lucky with, because every time we received a negative result, there would be something kind of out in the world, like the bigger world that has no idea I even exist, that would happen that would make me think, you know what, it's okay. This is normal. This happens to people and people get over it. So the thing that happened was Michelle Obama was on her book tour for Becoming. And in a lot of the press appearances that she did, people would ask her about IVF because she had both her daughters through IVF. She had to administer the shots herself because Barack was somewhere being a senator or doing legal things.
And she's a badass.
And she is a total badass. And I'm like, I don't even care if she had help. Like if her mom came over or if like a neighbor came over and helped her do those shots, like going through that without your partner, I think, or without your partner present, physically there and doing stuff for you, I feel like is amazeballs to me.
Yeah. Yeah. That is amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah. She talks about it in her book, apparently, which is, again, the other thing that I really admire about her was that she's an amazing, famous public figure, and her being able to not only write about it in a book, but to talk about it on television, that kind of thing, I think really opens up the discussion. I feel like it's freeing if you're going through this really intense, anxiety-filled, stress-filled activity. Like, I do kind of feel like knowing that someone like that has gone through it and feels comfortable talking about it makes me feel comfortable about talking to other people about it. And talking to other people about it is what helps me deal with the anxiety.
Absolutely. It's why this show exists.
Yeah.
Does it give, like, to go back to one of these sort of tools that your therapist gave you in terms of like finding perspective, is that part of the equation with Michelle Obama, or does it also factor in, like, does it give you hope?
I think it gives me hope. I think the main thing it gives me is the idea that I'm not alone in this. And I'm like, again, rational mind knows I'm not the only person. Tons of people have this problem. Otherwise, my doctor wouldn't be so busy. Mm-hmm. You know,
yeah.
And, otherwise, so many people wouldn't be using these procedures to try to have their family. But at the same time, going through it is so isolating. One of the things with pregnancy, and I understand why this is societally a thing, is that a lot of people don't talk about being pregnant until they're past the first trimester or past like even 20 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
Because the risk of miscarriage is so high that it's like, oh yeah, we're, 4 weeks pregnant. Let's tell everybody. And then a couple weeks later, you could be telling everybody, oh, sorry, no, false alarm.
Yeah.
That did not work out. And then going through like a horrible grief of like losing your child. And, again, that is the most extreme feeling of failure I can think about right now because I'm directly exposed to it.
Have you talked to your therapist about the sort of your sense of failure in this experience?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we covered that in our like second and third session because I basically had, timing wise, because the infertility treatment does make someone with PCOS more regular because the drug protocol makes you more regular. My meeting with my therapist would end up being almost every single time that I received my negative result.
Well, there you go. That's a strange serendipity.
Yeah. And again, it's that lucky and lucky thing. I'm glad it's now and not, an hour before I got my negative result. I'm glad I'm seeing you now because now we can talk about it. But also, goddamn, this hurts so much. Yeah.
Well, Alethea, I know. So I'm going to try to relate to you for a moment. But obviously I'm a man. I'm a white man. But I'm going to try to relate to you on this level. I don't know the pain of what you're experiencing, but I do know the frustrations of the body and like the physical pains of the body and the body not operating in the way that we want it to, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that, I know I personally struggled with that myself, with my back and my hip and the sort of like nerve damage I have in my wrists and weird sort of things that have come up over the years. my stomach, all these things. And it's frustrating. It's exhausting. It's depressing at times. It makes me feel inferior. It certainly makes me feel sad. But the reality is, and this is something I have to tell myself always, is it's not a failure. I'm not a failure, and you're not a failure. Like, we were just like, these meat sacks that we have are fallible, and they're rife with issues, like, that are so nuanced based on our experiences and how we were raised, like so many things, factors that are completely out of our control. And I know that's hard to accept, and I'm not trying to preach to you, but like, I just want to say this, at least for myself and maybe you and maybe the listeners, is that like, sometimes we just have, like, I know what you're going through is like so hard and difficult, but like, you telling me and thinking, you sort of processing it in a way that makes you feel like a failure, it just breaks my heart, and I don't want that for you.
I know. I absolutely agree. And again, like, anxiety mind is like, yes, absolutely, she's a failure. Rational mind is like, no, it's not your fault. There's also, so I've been talking to a friend of mine who has gone through IVF. She went through it 8 times.
Wow.
I don't even know how many IUIs she had. Before that, they've been trying for a long time. She just had her baby. By the way, 8th time's the charm.
There you go.
And every time I've had a procedure, because that, especially that first day where all the possibility, like all the hope is there, and you're trying to be as positive as you can be.
Yeah.
To do what you can to control the outcome, be like, I'm going to eat right, and I'm going to sleep so much. And
yeah.
I'm just going to meditate for 25 minutes, and whatever it is that I can try to do to make the outcome, the positive outcome that I want. I would like message her on Facebook in the middle of the night and be like, what if I did this? What if I missed my pill by like an hour? What if I missed my shot for like 6 hours? What if I, all of these what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
And she would tell me, you know what? You had your procedure already. There is nothing that you can do now, short of like, if I went out binge drinking or like shot up some heroin or something, like something that's clearly a no-no, or like drink massive amounts of coffee.
Yeah.
Like just gallons and gallons of coffee. There's nothing that I can do to affect the outcome anymore. Like,
yeah, she's right.
Yeah, you just rest.
It's hard to accept.
You drink water, like breathe in and out. Like those are the things that you can control.
Yeah. And
everything else you can't control. It's all the cell going, is this working? Is this working out? Is this going to form organs? Is this going to attach to the lining? Is this going to make it? And the cell basically going, nah, this is not working out. And your body responding to, the hormones and all of that happening in the cycle.
Yeah, to go back to what we were talking about near the beginning, it's bonkers that people even have children.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
I don't understand how it happened.
Yeah.
Rational mind is going, you just get these 2 cells and they like bind together and the stuff but irrational mind is going, what if I stand up and it falls out? What if I go to the toilet and it falls out? Like, it's not going to fall out.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Our anxious brain convinces us of the worst possible things that could happen that are so removed from reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to talk about IVF and like the process of that, if you're open to that.
Oh, yeah.
I did want to ask, maybe it's not something you should watch right now, but there's a movie I watched recently called Private Life. Have you seen this?
No.
It's with Paul Giamatti and Catherine Hahn.
I like both of them.
I do too. I love Catherine Hahn. She's so good. But it's a story of 2, people in their 40s going through what you're going through. It came out last year. It's really well done. Female director and writer, I think. Mm-hmm. It's worth watching, but I would say don't watch it right now while you're going through this.
I watched Bird Box during my last IVF, so
okay. I mean, this is a little close to home, though. It's really, yeah. I mean, so you can be the judge. You're a smart person.
I think it's funny because this is such. I don't realize how common this issue is until I'm watching, 40 hours of television a week. That's all shows that I've picked, and it's all different murder mystery shows from all different eras of the last, 15, no, sorry, not 15, the last 100 years, I would say. Uh-huh. And there's almost always a character who's going through the thing that I'm going through.
Yeah.
Whether that's, protagonist or someone like a victim or something, like whoever is going through. It's like every, 10th episode that I watch has something relevant to my topic. And I do feel like that realization that it's not a unicorn. I'm not some unique person going through this for the very first time in history by myself. I'm one of thousands, probably tens of thousands of people on the earth right now that's going through this problem.
Yeah, you're not alone.
So it makes me feel not so alone.
Speaking of that, have you found any, Facebook communities or groups like that online that are kind of going through the same process?
I ended up not having to go looking for that. One of the things, so going back to not talking about pregnancy, right? Mm-hmm. Not talking about pregnancy until you're past the zone where it's typical for people to miscarry, which is the first 20 weeks. I have been telling people about my infertility, IVF, this whole process. I've been telling people for months. I started out with just a handful of people. You would think my husband knows about it. My mom knows about it. And then I think a week or two into our first IUI, my mom told our entire family Facebook group. It's like a private group on Facebook, but with 50 of my family members.
And you didn't know she was going to do this?
No, I didn't know she was going to do it. To be fair, I hadn't told her not to do that.
Right.
But she basically went on one day, was like, pray for my daughter. She's having IUI today.
What a good mom.
Yeah. I was like, oh, great. I guess I can tell everybody now. So my entire family knows, and they've been really supportive also, which
that's nice.
Yeah. And, or if anybody's unsupportive about it, they haven't said anything about it because, pretty much my entire family is Catholic. So I would think someone, just statistically speaking, someone somewhere probably has a problem with it and isn't saying anything bad.
Sure.
So I appreciate them keeping it to themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I have a lot of friends also. So rather than strangers who are going through IVF, either people who have had not exactly the same struggles, but very similar. And then my one friend who has gone through it so many times and finally has her son in her arms, which is really sweet.
That's remarkable.
And I try not to imagine how much money this cost their family.
Right. So let's talk about the IVF. Is that, you talk about the IUI being something that was mostly covered by the insurance. Mm-hmm. Is IVF or no?
So IVF for me was covered, but if I had to pay for it out of pocket, because there's two parts to it, or there's a couple of different types. There's fresh. Pardon me, I belched a little bit. You can cut that out.
Keeping it in. That's
keeping it real.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's a fresh transfer in which basically on the same day, they'll harvest your eggs, they'll inseminate them. Imagine a petri dish. I don't know what they actually do it in. It's probably a petri dish.
You're watching too much CSI.
Yeah. I'm like, well, before they knocked me out, I'm pretty sure there were some Petri dishes like on the counter. So I'm assuming that's where they go.
In the next room over, they're testing the guns,
Yeah,
and they shoot into the clay or whatever they do.
Into some jelly or something.
Gel, yeah.
So they extract the eggs. So they've given you drugs to produce more than the normal amount of eggs that you would normally produce. Normally you'd have one. Younger women produce like somewhere in the double digits. I've heard of like up to 20 eggs being harvested, or probably even more than that. That's kind of insane compared to the one a month that you're supposed to be releasing. I ended up with, they found 10 follicles. They were able to harvest 8 eggs. So mine is a frozen transfer, which I'll talk about in a little bit. For a fresh transfer, they would basically do the insemination, let them grow for a little bit, and then pick the best growers and put that 1 or 2 sometimes back into the uterus and hope that those implant. So that's a fresh transfer, like kind of same day.
Gotcha.
For a frozen transfer, typically to a 3, like mine was a 5-day transfer. So they basically stick all the eggs that they harvested. They put some sperm in them. So hopefully some of those fertilize.
They ship you to Russia, put you in a winter coat.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
They make you dance the ballet. I'm kidding. So they put them in a little growing dish, and they check them every day, and they call you every day to tell you how they're doing. So day 1, they just told me we got 8. The second day, they said 7 had fertilized, so 1 dropped off the end there. The third day, they said they had 5 left, I think. And by day 5, there were only 4 left.
So what does that mean? Are they doing something with those 7, 8, 4, 5? Like,
so
or
they're
they
basically just observing the growth. They're in like a growth medium.
Gotcha.
And every day, like just the math of life, I guess, is that you have these halves of a person, right? Get together into a little cell, a blastocyst, and then every day or so, or whatever time period, those cells split.
Gotcha.
And double.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So the hope is that doubling in size, by day 5, you have some really good growers, or, not ones that have stopped growing. And then those day 5 embryos go to what's called PGD testing. And that is pre-genetic, or PGS, pre-genetic screening.
Gotcha.
Which is something that's optional. I'm sure probably there's people that either can't afford or don't want, like this happened to be included in my insurance. So I was like, yeah, let's go for it. So they actually test to see if the chromosomes are normal, meaning that they're not aneuploid or triploid. They're not going to result in, or they would let you know if an embryo is going to result in, let's say, a child with Down syndrome, for example.
Yeah.
So of my 4 embryos, we ended up with 3 normal, 1 abnormal. They actually told us the gender, not that I was going to be picky about knowing what the gender was or not. And then they also get a grade based on how good they were at multiplying.
Oh, okay.
Which
what was
I found
grade?
like, I know. I was just like, how did I do? So typically, again, women under 35 are going to have a higher chance of having like A embryos. Like it's a 2-letter grade, usually like AA. AB is slightly less good. I don't know what all the specifics are because I'm not a doctor. Or I haven't read deep enough into the infertility forums to know what all the grades mean. But so we ended up with 2 B girls. So those are like, okay. And then there was a BC boy who was like a male embryo that was slightly less good at growing than the other 2.
Gotcha.
So we tried that one first. That was December. He didn't make it. But that little guy did result in a chemical pregnancy, which I already mentioned earlier, which is where the embryo tries to implant and then something doesn't work out, and it's basically a really early miscarriage. It's like a week 1 or 2 miscarriage, because by the time in IVF, by the time that you are not really inseminated, it's your fertilized embryo is inserted into the uterus. By that day, it's day 5 for the embryo, and then there's like a 10-ish day wait before your first blood test. So,
what a ride!
Yeah, and it was like exhilarating to get that first positive, and I think at that point, I did really feel positive about it. Like, yes, this is as far as we've ever come before. I got really excited. I told everybody. And then 2 days later, I had to message everybody back and be like, wait, false alarm. It was a chemical pregnancy. I'm not pregnant.
That's so hard.
Yeah. It was hard, but it was also, I think, having that support, having thought ahead and having made that decision to tell people rather than keep it a secret, I think made a huge difference for how I was able to deal with it this time. After we got the negative result for the first IUI, like I broke down crying. Like I held it together at work, and then I got in the door and I immediately started crying. Like I was by myself with my cats, and I was just like inconsolable for like a day or 2.
Yeah, that's understandable. But it makes sense. Like I like the idea of having that network of support around you that is kind of in the loop with you. You know, they know what's going on. They kind of like know what's going on with you emotionally, and they you know kind of are there for the ups and downs, and I can see how that would make it a little easier.
Yeah, I mean it's still hard.
Yeah, I
still deal with anxiety like multiple times a day. It's still rough, but I think I feel better in general, even though I'm still experiencing anxiety, even though like I feel like this time I've been less positive than I have been ever before, but that my rational brain has an easier time speaking up and going, well, just because it didn't work last time doesn't mean it's not going to work this time. Like there's no reason to think like this is all just kind of random.
Yeah. Darn tootin'. We're all it's just, so you know, dust on a pale blue dot. So are you in the second round of IVF?
Yes. So this is our second round of IVF. The math worked out in terms of the way my fertility insurance works to where I can have one more transfer, which works out because we only have one more embryo left. That's normal. So I do have a contingency plan for if this doesn't work out in February, we'll try one more time. And actually the reason why we're also doing them back to back to back was I also had uterine polyps, which is where like a lot of my bills are coming from because I had them removed before the first IVF to give us a better chance of implantation, even though and there's like no way to know. There's so many moving parts.
Right.
It's impossible to say, well, this thing didn't work, and so the entire thing didn't work.
Of course, yeah. Wait, and what are the uterine polyps?
It's just a growth. Where it's not like a tumor. It's almost just like a growth of skin cells, of like endometrial cells that like clump together that make the lining not as smooth as it could possibly be. So it's basically like where normally you would want maybe an embryo to implant on that site because it's totally random.
Yeah.
And even when they put it in you, there's a chance that it could move or it could you could have what's called an ectopic pregnancy where like it goes too far back and like ends up trying to implant outside the uterus.
Oh, wow.
like inside a fallopian tube or something like that. And those they had to abort because they could really destroy your ovaries.
Right.
Yeah. So, sorry, what was the question? I lost my
No, there
train
wasn't
of
any
thought.
question really. I'm just kind of taking it all in, and it's a lot that you're going through.
I feel like we've been talking already for like an hour, and
Yeah.
there's so much information that I've just kind of glossed over. There's just so much to it. I think a lot of the emotional stuff we have talked a lot about, and even in terms of like the whole failure aspect of it.
Right.
I mean, I still feel those feelings really intensely every time. And I feel like, especially this time when I haven't been so positive, everybody else has been trying to be positive for me. And I appreciate that. But at the same time, like, I don't know, I'm at the point where I don't have a good hold on anxiety brain. Anxiety brain has my credit card and it's like paying bills left and right.
Just ordering pizzas.
I almost ordered dim sum yesterday.
And, like, that is so understandable. That, like, because it is an anxious time, but, my hope for you, Alethea, is that you find some peace in this, you find some lasting perspective that, like I wish we as humans could, I mean, maybe I wish, maybe I don't, but sometimes I wish that we as humans can like project a little bit and control a little bit more of like how things go in life, because life can be fucking hard and shitty and stumbly but yeah, go ahead.
I wish The Secret worked.
The Secret, yeah.
I don't want to belittle my mom in any way. My mom's very religious, and my mom's very sweet and positive and loving person. And, I appreciate also that she's not super codependent. Like, I'm not one of those kids that has to talk to their parent every day. We don't do that. We like maybe Facebook once a week. It's a little more frequent now because I'm going through this and I keep reaching out to her.
Yeah.
But she's like, imagine she's almost like a meditation guide. She'll send me these things and just be like, imagine your baby growing in your belly. Imagine you holding them and rocking them in your arms.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm like, God, I wish that worked.
Yeah, I mean, that I've talked about that, like projecting on the show before, and that can work in sort of helping with anxiety for an event you're going to, like thinking about how it's going to go. But obviously, it's not going to help in your case because, you can't know that you're going to experience that necessarily, and that's the hard part.
And that's the other thing. It's like trying to keep that balance between being really positive and sure that this process is going to work, and then being realistic and going, well, like maybe it's going to work or maybe not. And that's okay. And like, I don't know who's winning that tug of war right now between rational brain and anxiety brain, but like it's a tight race.
And how is it going with Jason? How has your relationship been through this process?
We've usually been really good, and I think we have only gotten closer over this process. I think he knows. So my husband's really funny.
Yes.
And very irreverent, and he's more likely to make jokes about things that are serious. Like the whole,
I get that. Yeah.
Like every morning giving me a shot that hurts so much. And then slapping a Band-Aid on me and going, you're pregnant, like every day.
Yeah.
He's like that. And I appreciate that he does know, like, he really knows how to read the room. And like, when I'm at the point where I'm like, no, I'm not kidding, and I can't take this joke right now, he will turn on a dime and be serious about it. When I know humor is his coping mechanism for everything. And I appreciate that he's very well adjusted. And I think that just helps support me and helps me control anxiety brain.
Yeah. That's nice to
Anxiety
hear.
brain's real strong right now.
Yeah.
It's on progesterone. Like it's got superpowers.
Well, you're a very strong person. You're very smart. You're very capable. Whatever comes your way, you're gonna get through it, and it's gonna be hard at times, and it's gonna be amazing at times. And through this period, no matter what happens, you're gonna learn so much about yourself. And I guess that's a silver lining in a way. That is the hard thing about struggle, is that we do learn so much about ourselves in it, but it's while you're in it, you're like, I don't want the fucking that perspective. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. So maybe I'm annoying you right now, but
No. I mean, even honestly, like listening to people tell me the things that I already know is helpful. Like I was talking about my friend, not a friend, from
your
my
bestie.
Insurance this morning. My total bestie, who I've never seen in person, but who I would love to come to my birthday party. So the person I'm talking about works for my infertility insurance company, and she's a patient care coordinator. So she takes care of kind of like the administrative stuff of like, okay, who's the doctor you're seeing? It's this person. Okay, we're going to send them this paperwork, letting them know all the stuff that they need to know so that your insurance gets billed correctly and stuff like that. But she's also just there to like talk to me about the process, like everything that I'm going through, all the questions that I have about the procedures themselves, and even just the emotions that I'm going through. Like I tried to call her yesterday. She had already gone for the day. I ended up talking to somebody else because I was freaking out about all the bills I suddenly started receiving that just happened to come this week. Like on Saturday, I tried everything to take care of myself. I went to the chiropractor, I went to yoga, I went to acupuncture, and then I opened the mail, which was a huge mistake and it's not like you can't tell what's going to be a bill of some kind, but like I had 3 bills for like, I don't even want to tell you how much money.
Well, you don't have to.
Large amounts of money beyond what I actually have in my bank account, like 10 times the amount of what I have in my bank account.
That's scary.
Super scary. And one of them I found, I'm going to have to call my insurance and ask them to rewrite that letter because it is like extremely panic inducing. And I did not have to freak out over it because it was basically like an unprocessed document saying, hey, you might owe this much money in between this really large dollar amount and that really large dollar amount.
And it was just incorrect? That shouldn't have came to you?
Well, so it's just like a warning to tell you what to do in case you get a bill for an outrageous amount of money.
I see.
But that's not how it appears at first glance. And I've read it several times from the perspective of someone who works in customer service and business. And I was just like, I could totally rewrite this for you in a way that will not give the person receiving it a heart attack and still give them the warning that you intended.
Yeah.
Of like, please log into your insurance portal and check this bill so that you know that you might owe them some money, but not like $50,000, maybe like $5,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
good for you. Yeah. Cause that's, that stuff can be, shocking and language, just a few words, the way that it's said, like can make a huge difference.
Yeah. I went from like having like, maybe not 0 anxiety, but like maybe a level 3 anxiety because I'd gone to all these practitioners that helped me with my back and, my chi and everything. And I think I was like at 100 anxiety. Like I could not sleep I didn't sleep Saturday or Sunday night before the transfer.
I'm so sorry. That's awful.
It's okay now. I mean, it's generally okay.
Okay.
I think. Hopefully, we'll not receive a massive bill.
I'm hoping for that too.
or at least a bill within my credit limit. I could handle that one.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you sharing all this. I do think, while, it's hard what you're going through, it is, like you said earlier, it is really important to talk about this stuff because it does have such a huge impact on mental health and a huge impact on just like the cultural expectations of women and all these things that we need to fight back against. And so it's like, I really appreciate that vulnerability, Alethea.
Thanks for letting me talk about it. I mean, I really believe in talking about it with either people who have been in your same shoes, like people who can directly empathize with your situation.
Yeah. Or
just even people that just care about you and have no idea what you're going through.
Yeah.
Which is what is happening now.
Well, let me be the judge. I slightly care about you. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I
slightly care about you, and I slightly think my body's a traitor. So yeah, I get what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that you have that perspective because it does. I mean, I know for myself, it does help to talk. Like, I can take it too far sometimes, like, sharing my feelings with people. But I do know that, like, talking about stuff with people helps a lot. And I'm glad it's helping you.
Yeah. And I mean, I have a friend who has major anxiety and who went through basically the same process in about the same amount of time that I did. And she didn't tell me about it. I probably should have told her about mine since I was kind of telling so many people anyway. Like, I told the barista at work, you know what I mean? Like, I'm telling random people.
That's funny. What's your name? IVF. He puts that on the cup. Anyways.
No, but like, she went through this entire process and didn't tell anyone anything about it until she was 20 weeks pregnant. And I think has told fairly few people. Like, I don't know how she dealt with it. I think she has worse anxiety than I do. And I don't know if that's a direct result of me having taken all these steps to, like, put my shame aside and put my, societal expectations aside and just talk about it, even though I'm not yet pregnant and not current. I don't think I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
My husband will tell you that I'm pregnant because we've already had the procedure. So let's assume that I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
I don't know how she did it.
Yeah. We need
for
people.
Like 4 years, didn't tell anybody.
Wow. That's
what she was going through.
That's bonkers. Yeah. I can't imagine. I mean, it's the truth is we need people.
Yeah.
We need that connection. We need that support. We can't go it alone. Yeah.
And I'm sure she's dealing with it or is going to deal with it in her own way. Yeah. She's an amazing person.
Yeah, I bet.
And I hope the best for her and I hope the best for me. And for anyone out there that's going through this, I think don't be scared to talk about it. Society might expect you not to say anything about it, but it makes it easier to share your feelings.
Amen. Let's talk about empathy heroes.
Yeah.
I will go first.
Go for it.
This is the part of the show, listeners, where the guest and I talk about someone in our lives or an author or a character, someone who's just a great empathy person, an empath, an empathy hero, we like to call them. This week, I am calling out the recently passed Mary Oliver. And I'm just going to read this quote from Mary Oliver, the poet. She says, quote, "Tell me, what is it?" Let me rephrase that. Let me start again. "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" I love that quote. I think it perfectly encapsulates sort of the thing that I strive for in life. And what that is reminding myself that, it is a wild life. There's not much control I have. It is a precious life, sort of get the fullness out of life in experience and joy and connection with other humans, and focus on the things that truly matter, which are those connections, and which are the vulnerability and the sharing, and the connecting with other humans on that deep level. So yeah, that's Mary Oliver is my empathy hero this week.
I absolutely agree. I carry a poem of hers in my wallet.
Aw. What's the poem?
Goes, let me see if I can remember it all. It's very short. It's just like a snippet of the poem. I wanted to know how to love. We all know how that goes. Slowly.
Excellent. That is very well said.
I might have gotten a word wrong.
No, either way.
But it's a very short poem, so there's a very small chance of that having happened.
Excellent. I love it. So, are you going to use Mary Oliver as your empathy hero, or did you want to call out someone else?
I'm going to say, so I will say all of the women that I have been constantly texting and Facebooking for the last couple of months. Every time I have a freak out or a crazy question or just whatever random thought has entered into my head that is negative and detrimental to my whole infertility process. Some of them are moms. One or two of them have gone through IVF. I think really only one who's gone through it like multiple times and has experienced the same thing that I'm experiencing, but like times 4.
Yikes.
Or probably even magnified more than that, because I know she really, really wanted her baby. And this is me like kind of belittling myself for not being positive right now. I want to be more positive, but I also want to be realistic, so I'm not completely let down when I get bad news. Let's just say that. But all of these...
I give you that. That makes sense.
It's just self-preservation at this point, and I may feel differently in the morning.
Yeah.
But all of those women, there's so many of them, I can't even name them all. Some of them are not moms. Some of them are not going through this. Some of them are probably never going to have children. And I can't say for every single person who has wanted children or not wanted children. I just thank them all for listening to me and for responding and for being caring, because like as little gestures of sending like an emoji back or a GIF, or like most of us have iPhones, so they'll hit like the little reaction button, the little tap back thing, and just give you a heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it means so much to me that I have a community of people to turn to when my anxiety is the highest that it's ever been in my entire life. I don't know if you can tell my voice keeps shaking.
I can't tell.
I'm trying to keep it steady, but like I feel it. I feel myself running out of breath like every like couple minutes or so. I'm going.
Well, why don't we? First of all, thank you for sharing that. I'm so glad you have that group of women. But why don't we, for a moment, just take a breathing break before we end here? Let's take 3 deep breaths together. Okay. Ready?
Ready.
So let's calm our minds, and we're going to breathe in now. 1 deep breath in. And deep breath out. And again, 1 deep breath in. And out. And one more time. Deep breath in. And out. That always makes me feel a little better.
Me too.
Yeah.
So much better than hyperventilating.
Yeah. That is for sure. Well, Alethea, where can our listeners, where can the Feely humans out there connect with you and, hear more about your story and send you gifts and all that loveliness?
Sure. Well, I'm not really updating my blog right now, but that's readnowsleeplater.org. There's probably something coming on Monday because we got that sadness picture book by Ilana. I can't say her name right now. I can see her name in my mind. ELAND. When Sadness is at Your Door. Is that the right one?
Yes. Excellent books.
So I'll be posting about that on Monday at readnowsleeplater.org. And I can be found on Instagram as Fruit Juice. That's FROOTJOOS, like Fruit Loops, but it was juice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on Facebook, but mostly for people I know personally and can message in the middle of the night with all my IVF anxieties.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Alethea, for, again, sharing your story and being open and vulnerable. And I just appreciate you, friend. And I really hope the best for you. And I'd love to keep checking in and see how you're doing during this process. It's a lot to take on, and I just admire you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Noan, for having me again.
Of course. And to you listeners, I'm here, you're here, we're here together on this wayward, overwhelming, awe-inspiring pale blue dot. We have each other. It's you, me, empathy.